So it's my great pleasure to welcome you on this DevOps track. I'm François Bouteruche. I'm Developer Relations Manager at Microsoft France. And I'm here to talk about our own Microsoft DevOps journey. I will not talk about our product or services, but I will give you some feedback on our own transformation. Because if a lot of people say today that we have changed in the last 4 years, but this change is very deep in Microsoft. And one of the key factor of this change is that we've embraced DevOps practices a few years ago. And the first thing we've done with DevOps is to ask ourselves, what is DevOps? Because if you ask many people what is DevOps, you have a lot of definition. And so we start to define our own vision of DevOps. Because for us, and it's our definition that match our organization, DevOps is the union of people, process, and tools to enable continuous delivery of value to customer. And for us, the last part of the sentences is the most important one. We want to deliver continuous value to our end customer. It's a very important part because it matches our mission. Satya, our new CEO, says that our mission is to empower people to achieve more. And to help them to achieve more, we must deliver them more value and in a continuous way. So the second thing is that Satya, when he arrived at Microsoft, launched a program, an internal program, which is called One Engineering System for DevOps. In fact, at that time, we have different engineering systems in different engineering groups. Windows Developer Group has its own engineering system. Office Developer Group has its own engineering system. And so Satya said, stop. We will all have the same engineering system for DevOps. And this quote is a very important one. There cannot be a more important thing for an engineer, for a product team, than to work on the systems that drive our productivity. Because if your engineering system don't help you to be productive, you are wasting a lot of money and a lot of time. So he wants that our best engineer work on our engineering systems. So 4 years ago, when you launched this program, we start to have about 20,000 people working on this one engineering system. And today we've reached about 80,000 people working on its one engineering system. So it takes a lot of time to manage everyone on this one engineering system. And this one engineering system, as you can see, it's about approximately 800 people that work on the one engineering system. So we invest about 1% of our engineering force on the one engineering system. It's a huge investment. And in fact, this one engineering system is based on a service that we deliver to our customer, because Satya said, we will eat our own dog food. If something is not good for us, it will not be good for our customer. So we rely on the Azure DevOps platform that you may know before as Visual Studio Team Services, which is our continuous delivery platform for every team, every app, and every platform. Because at Microsoft, now we develop some apps for iOS, for Linux, for Mac OS X, for Windows, of course. We have some engineers that works with Java, some engineers that works with Node.js, Python, .NET, of course. And so this engineering system must handle all of this language, all of this platform. And we have a set of features to help teams to do agile planning, to monitor their services and their application, to build and test, of course, and to deliver their application on production. So now I will focus on a specific engineering group, the one who supports this platform, because it's the first engineering group that embraced DevOps practices 8 years ago. So as you can see, it's a long journey. It's not a small one. If someone tells you that, hey guys, we will start to transform to adopt DevOps practices, and in 6 months we will be a DevOps teams, it's a joke. It's a very long journey. So in 2010, this engineering group start by sending all people of the engineering group in Agile training to set up a common vocabulary, common words, so that everyone speaks the same with the same words. And then we start practices Scrum, and to have 3-week sprints. And we don't change that, so they are still in a cadence of 3-week sprints. And there is a long journey, and in 2014, we released the general availability of Visual Studio Team Services, so Azure DevOps. And 2 months later, we start the project of one engineering system, because the platform was general GA, so we can merge all of our engineering group on this platform to start our program. 1 year later, we understand that we can't do everything alone. So we open the platform with an extension feature, because we can't handle all the needs of all engineering groups. So the basic idea was to be able to have a help yourself system. In 2016, we give GVFS to the Git community, and because we need GVFS. The reason is that the Windows developer group moved to Git, and it's the largest Git repository in the world, so they reach the technical limit of Git. And so we have to tackle this problem, and we develop GVFS, and we release it, and we give it to the Git community as an open source set of tools. And so it's a very long journey, and the question is, why even embark on this journey? And I think the most impactful figures is this one. In 2016, we released 262 features. It was more than the 4 previous years combined in 1 year. And the important fact is that it was with no more engineer. With the same number of engineers, we release the same number of features that the previous 4 years combined. So just for this, it was useful to embark on this journey. And now some figures about DevOps at Microsoft. Today, it was some data from August this year. We have about 78,000 deployments per day on all our cloud services. We have 2 million Git commits per month. So as you can see, it's a huge number, huge figures, and we are really serious about DevOps. We practice DevOps on Windows developer groups. On Windows 10, you have very frequent releases, for example. On Office 365, on Dynamics 365, we practice DevOps. So here's the 5 points that we want to highlight in our transformation. The five points that we want to highlight is that it's very important to focus on team autonomy plus enterprise alignment. It's important to focus on shift-left quality, on customer-focused practices, production-first mindset, and infrastructure as a flexible resources. For us, it's the 5 key points of our successful DevOps transformation. So I will dig into that. So about team autonomy and enterprise alignment, we don't invent anything about this subject. We just read, we just go to conferences, we just talk with Agile experts, and we integrate what we've heard, and we set up our own practices. And for us, team autonomy is about planning what the team will do in the next 3 sprints and how they will organize their practices for their day-to-day delivery. But organization, roles, teams, the structure of the teams, the cadence, the taxonomy is the organization. And you know what? When you have, just for a business group like the Azure DevOps engineering teams, we have about 800 people. So about 80 feature teams. So if each feature teams, if a feature team say, we work with a 1 week cadence, we work with a 2 week cadence, we work with a 3 sprint cadence, you can synchronize the team, and you will have to synchronize the team because you are building a global services. So we adopt a 3 week cadences. So it's kind of a release train if you are aware of the SAFe methodology. And we say to the team, okay, you can release every 3 weeks, but if you miss the train, it's not a problem. You know what? Because in 3 weeks, you will have another train. So it doesn't matter. The quality does matter, but to be successful to reach the date is not very important. The quality is important. The live site is very important, but a date is not very important. The second part is the shift-left quality. I will want to talk about the Microsoft testing's evolution. At the beginning of the 19th, sorry, we have a very common 1-to-1 ratio developer to tester, and it was very cool for on-premise software that we will chip on a DVD and give to our customer, but it was not very today it's not very helpful. And so in the beginning of the 2K, we merged the software test engineer and the software developer engineer in one role. So we just have software engineer. You are responsible to build and test a software that will work in production. Just one role. And at the beginning of the 2010, we start officially our DevOps journey with combined engineering teams, and in one feature team you have software engineer. Some of them are more developers, some of them are more tester, but some of them are more ops engineer, because they are accountable for their feature in production. So if their feature don't work in production, they are accountable for that. And to do this, we have really changed our testing strategy, because if you want to release every 3 weeks, you can't have manual testing. It's not possible anymore. So we start to work to have 100% automated tests. At the beginning, it was functional tests in pre-production with some tools like Selenium, for example. But it was very hard to maintain these tests. So we have a 2-year strategy to switch to a completely different testing strategy with more than 50,000 unit tests on the Azure DevOps software, and very few integration tests and functional tests. The important part is the unit test. And you know what? Because if you wait too long to detect a regression, a bug, it's very expensive. So we want that our developer detect a regression or a problem, an issue, on their development machine, and not on the production environment or on the pre-production environment. Because if you detect this problem on the pre-production environment, your developer has already started to do something else. So it has already switch of context. So it will be very difficult to come back and say, okay, why there is this issue? I was working on this 2 weeks ago. Why have I done this? So it's very complicated. The third part is customer focused. And maybe it's one of the difficult parts for Microsoft. So in this engineering group, we've started to have some champ in the engineering group for our biggest customer. So we identify our biggest customer for the Azure DevOps platform, and we say, okay, you are a software engineer, but you will manage this customer. This customer can send you an email, he can call you, and you will discuss with him of his problems with the platform. The objective here is that our software engineers are aware of the true problem of our customer. Because we think that sometimes software engineers are in their office and they don't know the end customer. So they need to understand the end customer. So we have some champs. And then we have user voice. We have also Stack Overflow in this engineering group. We monitor Stack Overflow, but it's not enough, because only very motivated people switch from the product to user voice or to Stack Overflow to give a feedback. So if you want more feedback from your customer, you have to help them to give you some feedback. So we had the feature in the product to help them to give some feedback directly in the product without switching of context. But in fact, it's not enough, because some user will never give you some feedbacks, and maybe it's the more important users. So we've changed our definition of done, and our definition of done is live in production, collecting telemetry that examines the hypothesis which motivated the deployment. So we have a lot of telemetry to understand what all of our users are doing with our product to validate our hypothesis. So it's clearly inspired from the lean startup methodology. We set some hypotheses and we validate them. The fourth key point is the production first mindset. And there's a lot of content I will show you where you can get this content about Microsoft transformation. There's a lot of content about this, but be transparent. It's maybe the more uncomfortable one. So if you go to the Azure DevOps engineering blog, each time we have a major incident in production, you will find a blog post with a root cause analysis. And we explain why we have this major incident and what we are doing to avoid to have this issue a second time. So it's very uncomfortable, but it really helps to improve and to have a transparent relation between us and our customer. And the third part, the fifth point is infrastructure as flexible resource, because Azure DevOps and like the majority of Microsoft products come from on-premise. Before to be cloud services, it was an on-premise product, Team Foundation server, that you can set up on your own server in your own data center. And this product exists today. And it's the same code base that run in our cloud services and in our on-premise product. So we switch from a non-premise first design to a cloud first design. And we manage this a unique code base, but we need to test heavily. And so when we test a feature, we set up some environment to test the cloud services deployment, but we set up also a lot of environment to test the on-premise deployment, because we have a lot of customers with a lot of different deployment environment with different properties. So we have to set up a lot of environment, and we rely on Azure, of course, to set up this environment, launch our automated test, and then crash the environment. So just to finish this talk, DevOps isn't magic. It's a talk after 8 years of this journey, and we struggle with this transformation. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone will be doing would be doing DevOps, but it's not easy. So to sum up, on the left part, it was what we did before, and on the right part, it is what we do today. So there's a lot more information that we share on this short URL. You can go there, and you will find a lot of information about our transformation from an agile perspective, but also from a software architecture perspective, how we refactor our monolithic software to transform it in a microservices architecture. And we have a lot of things to share about this. So I hope you will go to this, and you can come to discuss with us at our booth on the ground floor. And please enjoy your day at this DevOps track. Thanks for your attention.